Hello, welcome to the Mouth of Truth, the live stream from behind the scenes of Ren, the Girl with the Mark. And this is our second very special after show edition of Mouth of Truth, following on from the premiere of Ren Season 2, Episode 2, that just dropped on YouTube. Hopefully you have watched it, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Please put your comments, your questions, your feedback into the chat. Very shortly, we will be joined by some very special guests from the cast and crew. So if you have any questions, drop those in the chat now. Hi, Toby. Hey, Neil, your voice is fine, he says. Thank God for that. No repeat of the little fiasco we had last week. If you didn't see last week's episode, check it out. It's there on YouTube forever now with a little voice changer accident that happened. Before we bring on our special guests for this evening, just a quick little bit of news. Firstly, episode 1 is doing fantastically well. It's over 10,000 views already and the feedback is absolutely wonderful. Please share that far and wide. We want as many people to see it as possible. And secondly, a little bit of Patreon news. I did a poll on YouTube the other day, and it turns out there are a lot of people who would love to join the Patreon, but they couldn't afford it. So as of today, we've introduced a new tier. It's called the Messenger tier. It gets you access to the exclusive patron-only blog, and that is just $3 a month to join. So if you've been put off joining the Patreon because of the cost, do take another look at that. All right, we've got a few people joining us in the chat now. Hello to Dan, hello to Murto, saying Oriana Charles is awesome as Ren. Yes, we absolutely agree, Murto. Thank you. Grosse Point, Michigan says great atmosphere and tension. Nice work all around. May C, loved it, guys. Wonderful job. Hey, that's Maylene, I believe. Thank you, May. And JHGK98. Hello, episode 2 was great. I loved it. Great shots, high production value, some fine acting, and also gripping story-wise. Looking forward to episode 3. Fantastic. And Toby saying, what if all those views were the cast and crew rewatching it a couple of thousand times? Well, I'll take that if it is, but hopefully some new people are enjoying it as well. Let's bring on, hello KTB, let's bring on our special guests this evening. Here they are. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello. Okay, do you want to introduce yourselves, starting with Chris?
We can. My name is Christopher Dane. I am the co-creator of Ren, the Girl with the Mark. In season 1, I played Khan, and I'm the director of the episode that has just dropped on YouTube.
Fantastic. Meg?
Hi, my name's Meg Birley, and I play a new character in season 2, Tansy.
Mm-hmm.
And hello, my name's Constanza Ruff, and I play also a new character, Madanas.
Fantastic. Hello, Janos the Ancient in the chat there, and Grosse Point, Michigan saying, I want this to be a series with hour-long episodes. Well, you know, if you watch all the episodes of a season back-to-back, you kind of get that. It's great that people want longer episodes. We have got slightly longer episodes this year. I don't think we're ever going to get up to an hour, but, you know, run them all together. You can get the same effect. So, Chris, this was your first directing outing. What was that like?
It was, yeah. I mean, I tried my hand at a little 2-minute sort of comedy sketch thing many years ago, but this was, yeah, definitely my first foray into directing proper drama. Yeah, it was great. It was quite scary because you sort of... You prepare as well as you can. You know, I storyboarded in the old-fashioned way, not on a computer, but in a notebook and stuff like that. And a lot of people have laughed at that on set, especially when I sort of was flipping around my little book and go, yeah, and then we're doing this and we're doing that. But so you prepare as much as you can, but it's only when you sort of hit the ground and there are real people like Meg and Constanza standing in their costumes and stuff, and you start realizing, oh yeah, I better do something to make this scene happen and work. But overall, it was a really great experience, and I must admit that I enjoyed the fact that it was the only thing I had to do was directing, rather than sort of half producing and building sets and trying on costumes and whatever happened during season 1. This time around, it was nice to be able to sort of, with a clear head, just look at the one thing. And before I say anything else, I want to say Grosse Pointe, Michigan, has a very big place in my heart without saying any more. So just a shout out to you.
Fantastic. Do you want to talk a little bit about the audition process?
Yeah. I mean, we started off with, so what happens is you go to various websites, and Neil, you can probably correct me, but there was a couple of websites where you put out your casting notice, you sort of have a little description of what the individual characters are, and then actors subscribing to these websites look at them and go, yeah, that could be me. They sent in a little notice saying, I would like to audition for that. You then pick out the ones that you feel look right for the part or could be interesting for the part. Then you send them a scene or two, and they do a self-tape. So at home, they will film themselves basically doing that little scene you've done. And the actors then give their little version of what they see that character be. And on the basis of those, you again eliminate certain people. You pick out maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people that think, yeah, either they've completely hit the brief straight on and you go, yeah, we want to see them again, or they haven't quite hit the brief, but there's something quite interesting about these people that you want to see. And then for the most part, you then have a little session where people come in. Constanza came in to the face-to-face audition, which was quite cool. Remember, was it a rainy day? You had like,
yep. Oh yeah,
it was quite a rainy day. You had lots.
It was a rainy day. Yes.
Lot of rain gear on and stuff, which was quite cool. But and in the face-to-face auditions, what I like to do, I haven't obviously done many of them, but the auditions I've gone to as an actor that for me have felt the best is when there's a director or a casting director and they're just people and they talk to you, they have a nice little chat before you do your thing. You get a chance to do the scene in front of them, and then as in this case, I think, because Meg, you didn't come in. We did yours online, didn't we?
Online, yeah. And then I did do one in person with Neil and the team as well, but that was for a different role.
But with Constanza, then after you did your first read, I think we had a little chat about certain elements of it, and you give not necessarily notes but ideas. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But I don't know, how do you sort of feel about the audition process when people give notes afterwards? Is that easy to pick up? Or?
Well, yeah, I feel that it is. And it also gives you an idea on how, because in the end, it's a collaborating process. You are not a puppet that, okay, you do whatever. Of course, you do what you're told, but it's what you give and what they give you in the end. So if you're given any instructions that, would you like to try it this way, try this, try that, you start finding different avenues for your own character that perhaps you had no idea they were there.
Yeah.
So, and you make the character richer just by trying new things. So it's always, I love it when they direct me, and sometimes they throw the most random things. So, can you play it as a rat? Yeah, I'll play it as a rat. Why not? So, because, it could have ratty characters. I don't know characteristics, but I don't know what it is. But yeah, I love it when people give me more options that maybe I haven't thought about.
Yeah, and it's one thing I like when you've been in the game as an actor for a while, you start relaxing a little bit more on auditions, and therefore you're a little bit more open when someone says, because you read the script or the scene and it says, oh, he's crying and he's near to breaking down, and you do the scene like that, and then in the audition someone might go, let's play it like he's happy. And I remember in the early parts of my career, I would listen to that and go, but that doesn't work. He can't be happy because it says he's not happy. So how can that work? But then you realize, well, it might just be to try something and see what you as an actor bring to it. And if you're open to suggestions, if you're open to direction. And as you say, Constanza, sometimes you find something where you go, oh, hang on, that worked. So yeah, that was sort of the process. And I think we picked the right people for the right characters.
I think you definitely did. Absolutely. Just having a look at some of the questions, things that are coming in here. Toby says, did you make poor Oriana actually slather herself in pig dung?
Should I say? No, you can't do that. You can't do that for a number of reasons. What we did, we found some, I think it was sand or something that was quite clean, and we washed it. And then you start mixing it with some water and stuff like that. And it was, say it was clean mud, if you can say it that way. And actually, if you look at it, in the scene, you don't actually see her put it on her face. She scoops it up and looks at it, and then we cut away. And then next time we see her, it's all been done with makeup. So even though it was clean and the mud wasn't toxic or anything, we didn't tell her to put it on her face.
That was a very smart rewrite that you did, because I'd written it that you actually saw her putting it on her face, and you rejigged it to cut around that. I think that was a very good move.
Yeah, I'm an actor. I've seen those scripts and I go, nah.
And what am I right in thinking? Whatever it was that Lucy and the others used for the makeup, did it involve coffee or something?
Yeah, it might have been. I never saw the concoction that they came up with for the mud, but it worked really well. And I will say that what we did in post-production for the shot when we see the pig leftovers, that we did add a little bit of steam.
Oh, yes.
And in the sound, I asked them to put in just a faint little buzzing of a fly, which all just makes you go, oh, God, that's got a smell. That's warm to the touch. That is, But actually, it was a combination of the practical stuff and a few little effects in the post-production. Which, again, is a thing I absolutely love about post-production, is how sound can actually enhance something and give you an impression. It can make a scene a lot bigger, as in our tavern scene later on in the Smoke and Ember. Added a few little conversations with people you don't see, but it just expands what you see, and you think, oh, there was loads of people, but actually when you look at it, there weren't that many people. But yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes a huge difference. Gotta love post-production, Grosse Pointe, Michigan says. Absolutely. And Alex has confirmed it was coffee. So a couple of questions about Khan. We can't say anything about that. No. So moving on. JHGK98 saying, hello, I have a question for Mr. Dane. Mr. Dane, will you be back in the director's chair for season 3? Will you contribute to the script or story? Thank you, and I think all of you did a great job.
Well, thank you, first of all. With the directing thing, it's a little bit up to the guy down there, or up there, I don't know where you are in this, in this image. Neil has the reins on that. I think that Neil did a really clever thing about having a director for each episode, bringing in a couple of new hands to it. And I think that would be a really cool thing to continue with, bringing in new people in the director's chair, just to bring something different to each season. So I wouldn't be disappointed if I'm not in the director's chair. Actually, I think that would be quite a cool thing. What was with regards to script? I mean, Neil sends me scripts and sends it to a lot of different people to get feedback. And obviously, because I wrote quite a lot of the backstory to the world that Ren lives in, it's quite nice to have to get the scripts and kind of be able to go, oh, I think that really works. Other times it's like, oh, just remember that in this particular part of the mythology, this happens. So maybe it's not a great thing to say that, but maybe say this instead. So kind of, yeah, maybe a little bit of a gatekeeper on the mythology and stuff.
Yeah, and what
I love scripts. I'm a script writer myself, and yeah, I hope that will continue in season 3.
Yeah, and what I will say about season 3 is we'll be getting into the backstory a bit more than we have in the past 2 seasons. And if any of you have read Chris's novella, The Fall of the Last North King, you may spot some influences from there, some references coming into season 3. Mr. Dane enjoys his veto power, Toby reckons.
I don't think I have any veto power.
So Meg, you had a bit of a makeup trial as well, because you had to have the birthmark put onto you every day. What was that like? How long did it take?
I think maybe it took like an hour and a half. I think it's not too bad because we had like a stencil. This side of my face had a stencil that was, I think it was Africa. A stencil of the using Africa as like a shape sort of outline, and then you'd have, I don't know what all the prosthetic stuff's called, but like stuff that makes it like a bit squishy, so it looks and kind of feels like skin rather than just like a mark, if that makes sense, like a birthmark, obviously. But yeah, I remember taking a time lapse and just watching, like, because it was so, even though it just looked like a stencil, they used a stencil as sort of like just an outline, but then they were sort of like doing their own little things around the outside. And it takes a lot longer than I think people think. They think, oh, they just slap it on. But actually it takes a while. And it's all like very intricate with tiny little paintbrushes, and no, let's put a little bit further down there. Oh no, let's move that. Let's try again. But yeah, I think about an hour and a half each time. It's not too bad.
Wow, that's longer than I thought, actually. Yeah. Oh. And what about Connie, your costume? Because we had Rachel August on last week, who plays one of the Kanath captains, and so she's got a sort of similar outfit to what you had to wear, and she didn't find it particularly comfortable. How was yours?
No, it's not. It's not comfortable at all. I kept on having issues with my sword. My belt wouldn't sit where it should be sitting, so it kept on just falling towards my hips. So my sword kept on dragging against the ground. So costume, bless them, just kept on running in between shots. She's like, lift the belt, take the shot, it's dropped again. Lift the belt. It's like it was a constant battle with the belt. But yeah, no, they're not very comfortable. You can't really move. You're like a little tiny matchbox. You have to move. You sort of only left and right. You cannot bend very much either. But yeah, it's still amazing costumes. They look amazing. And they give you a particular way of moving. And I guess that's the important part. Because you move like a soldier. You can't really go like, oh, my hips are going to be all flowy. So that helps when you're playing a character that has to, be soldiery.
You instantly walk like a soldier, don't you? You just
and also the fact that you have like this sword, you're like, oh yeah, I'm sort of like a cool person in the room.
But the one thing I love, because we had a long discussion about the Kanath soldiers, because in season 1 we had the basic Kanath soldier and then we had the commander. So they were like the commander at the very top and the very bottom, and that was about it. But in this season, we have introduced sort of various ranks within that. So we were talking about how do we differentiate the costumes and stuff. And for your character, she's a sergeant, isn't it? Is it Sergeant Madanas?
Yeah.
I was very keen to add the fur over the shoulder because I kind of wanted to have that broad shoulder thing that when you stand up, it's like, boom, there, and I think that works really, really well.
It does, and it felt, it's the weight as well of it. So it did work. It did work. Well done.
We got Christopher Buckingham has joined us in the chat there. He's one of our extras in the tavern and in other places. In fact, he's in 2 different scenes as 2 different characters in episode 2. if you're looking very closely. He points out that the board game from season 1 crops up in the tavern. In episode 2.
The Doleg board game that was invented for season 1. Yeah, I thought that was quite a nice. Was it you that did that, or was it Rose that brought it in? Or
it was in the script that people were playing Doleg. Yeah.
What's the game about?
Oh, it's it's basically it's called Doleg, and that just means money game. So it's kind of a very quick, almost roulette type thing.
Okay.
Because the idea was that it was for soldiers on guard duty. So they would be sitting in a tower for like 12 hours and they would get a bit bored. So they would have this game, but it had to be a game that could easily be folded up and taken away if the sergeant would turn up. So it's a very simple game where you roll some dice and you bet very quickly, and every time you roll, someone wins and someone loses. So it's a quick sort of back and forth, but something that is normally would be just marked out on a roll of fur or skin or something like that. So you can quickly pack it up and put it in a pocket if the sergeant or the general sort of turns up and wonders what you're doing on duty. So that's basically it. But yeah, it was made for season 1 because the script in season 1 says 2 guards sit at a table and plays a game. They play a game. And we thought, well, it could be sort of a chess type thing. And eventually I thought, well, we could come up with something that looks like a game. And it actually now is a game that can be played. Is it on the website or something? There are downloadable rules and stuff like that. So.
Yes, one of the things you get at the Tavern Dweller level and above on Patreon is you get this access to this whole Google Drive full of downloadable goodies, including a printable game board and rules for Doleg. Yes, it is a fun little game, and several copies of it now exist. That have been made. I have a feeling the art department made 1 or 2 extra ones for the tavern, and then they got lost or something, and they had to. I definitely, there are photos of them, of Rose and Ash sitting around at the Kanath camp, making more
of them.
Boards and counters and things.
There's a few floating around.
Yeah. Grosse Pointe, Michigan says the costuming in both seasons is better than some shows I've seen on TV. The team is making the most of available resources. The costumes look so natural and of the world on camera. That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we should shout out to Norton Armories, by the way, who are this big film and TV armory company in Herefordshire, and they have been very kind to us since the beginning of Ren, lending us their armour for the Kanath, and their head guy John Peck even designed and made the Master's Mask, which appears in both seasons as well.
Yeah.
I think this is a good time to do our live commentary over the episode.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So let's get started on that. Here we go. So you do get a recap on this episode.
Spirit wasn't just locked in a wreath.
It's such a cool little thing that the soldier falling off the horse. That looks really cool.
Yeah, Kate had a very clear idea of what she wanted for that, and yeah, we were able to pull it off, which was fantastic.
I like this bit as well when it's like a slow it, well, it's like a slow-mo bit of it. It's really good.
Yeah, I always remember Kate's use of slow-mo in Born of Hope was really nice as well.
Yeah, works really, really well. Remember that campfire thing where we'd found this very, very close to the farm, really. I think we found about 4 different locations within 200 yards and just sort of built that.
Yeah, and almost that exact same spot was used for 2 other scenes this season.
Yeah.
But just, different times of day, different angles, so you can't tell. But it's actually basically the same spot as the Kanath camp, isn't it?
Almost,
recycling.
yeah.
It's all about recycling.
To ask about this scene, actually, when did you guys film this scene? And
well, which version?
Right.
We filmed it twice.
Yeah.
This is the thing about live commentary. Everything goes so quick. You can't.
I know. It's over now.
God, it's gone.
Yeah, well, I'll pause it. There you go. I paused it for a moment.
Yeah, the like battle scene where something's happened, or whatever's happened, and she's.
Yeah, it is kind of. It's sort of a. It's not a flashback. It's a memory flashback.
Memory. That's yeah.
But what was important was that sort of reveal that we think that it's Ren who she has this memory, but then it's revealed there that it's not actually her memory. So it's kind of a little precursor for what the spirit is, what the Nomari is, and all that sort of thing. But we filmed it twice because the first time around we were sort of running out of time a bit, and the sun was in the wrong place, and it was the battlefield was quite green still, and it just didn't quite hit the mark. And then when Neil said we're going to do a day of pickups, do you want to? No, you didn't say do you want to. You said I think we should do that scene again. I was like, yeah, definitely, let's do that again. And that time it was we filmed from the original angle that we actually had chosen for that scene. I think you got the farmer to plow up the field so it wasn't green at all. I spent a couple of hours just smashing everything up and turning stuff into something else and filling it up, and then the farmer turned up with this massive tractor with a water tank of like 400 gallons of water, whatever, and just went so it was just all of a sudden it had this sort of gritty Game of Thronesy mud, and we then had like 15 extras who just went just locked into it, and it just looks amazing there.
I was wondering, I was like, how do they get it so muddy? Do they do it in the winter and poor people lying in the
No, this was actually the first day of a heat wave. It was early September.
Thank God.
No, it was absolutely worth doing again. And on as usual on Wednesday, the making of video for this episode will come out, and that includes a little snippet of the original version of this scene, which, no offense to anyone involved, but just by comparison, it looks so bad. I mean, everyone tried really hard, but it's just absolutely night and day, the original version to the new version. Yeah.
And by the way, good shout out to the special effects people for doing this shot.
Yes, putting the lights on his face. That was Iranga. Muddy Solange. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
But it's just nice to kind of establish where we are going now in this season, more or less, because I think episode 1 was about getting away from Lingard, and this is now starting to take shape with the aim of where we're going now. We are trying to find this guy who might be able to get the mark out of Ren and sort of save her from what is perceived to be really evil. Here's the fancy new
Very fancy
title sequence, which is cool.
So did you guys like storyboard this, sort of sketch it out in your little notebooks, Chris, and then
It has nothing to do with me. That's all Neil with.
Neil, nice. So how is it yourself and who else that you sit down and talk about the opening?
I mean, the title sequence was really just my little sort of side quest that I did by myself. Chris designed the map of Alafia, and Ash Finn sort of drew up a nice fancy version of it with the runes and things on it. But yeah, it was kind of just my side project.
Love that. On many other projects that you do.
Yeah.
Man of many skills.
I wasn't sort of intending to do it, but it sort of, I was just, I could
the
try
maps
this
are
and try
great
this.
though. The maps are great.
Yeah. This is one of the things that I really love about this series is like the props department. They really go for it.
They're incredible. The
we had
detail
like 4,
of things.
Yeah, I think we had 4 or 5 different versions of that map. So first of all, they're lying all on the table, but you could sort of choose. I think this one will work best.
Are they hand drawn or are they sort of made on computer and then?
No, hand drawn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to Kim, who sewed the that sort of red bunting type stuff on the tent behind him, the sort of the edging on the tent.
Yeah.
Nice one, Kim.
And that was another, we talked about Constanza and her fur on the shoulders as a sergeant, and then is it Melusa?
Meluso, yeah.
Yeah. She's sort of higher up. She's probably a colonel or something. So she had a cape. She's just under the. She had a cape. So she's just under the level of the commander.
Where is this shot? The shots, servants, they're incredible.
With the heather, that was a pickup shoot we did in the Peak District a few months after the fact.
That's so funny you say that. I said to Ryan, my boyfriend, he's like, I was like, we filmed in Wales. No, that's Peak District. I was like, yeah, I'm sure they filmed in Wales. Like, no, that's Peak District. I was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
These as well.
No, that's back on the farm.
Back on the farm.
And actually,
that's the farm. Yeah.
The shot you had before that with all the blue mountains in the background and the moon was also Cambridge.
Yeah. Yes, and Rishika Chakravorty, I think, did the compositing added the mountains and the moon in the
mountains. Yeah, it looks crazy good.
And then Abhimanyu Tanwar added the window into that shot, the shuttered window, because there wasn't one there.
Amazing.
No, there was meant to be one that we just couldn't find it.
This place, this little what is it? It's a farm. I don't know what it is. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's a little.
The dedication of people to what they were doing. It's just, yeah.
Yes, Little Woodham 17th century village in Gosport near Portsmouth.
Yeah.
It's a living history museum, all run by volunteers who are very, very friendly and helpful to us.
What I quite like about this little scene is that we start getting a bit of, there are the pigs. We get a little bit of insight in Hunter's mentality more than we've seen before. His sort of, I'll just take whatever, I'm on the road, I'm on the move all the time, so I'll just grab whatever's there, whether it's someone else's or not. What does it matter to me? I'm out of here. It's quite like that we see that side of him.
And shout out to Sanjay, who made that sign there, the tavern sign.
Yeah,
really
the
nice.
smoke and ember sign. And Constanza, ready for your big entry.
Big entry.
I thought you were really scary. I didn't. You were scary that day.
Oh, here it comes. The haze, our best friend.
The smoke.
Would this have been your first filming day, Meg and Connie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And it was it very windy? I can't remember if it was
We
today
had-
or the other day.
We actually had some lovely weather. It was meant to rain all day, I think, in the weather forecast, but actually it was quite sunny all day. Here comes the poo. Just see the smoke there, the little steam.
I know
rising.
the steam. Yeah. Was that put in after?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So clever.
It's
Just has that
got the right consistency.
Oh yeah.
Sort of like not runny but gloopy. It's quite perfect.
Yeah.
And
What you guys did with the tavern is amazing.
I know. Oh, I love the tavern.
That like the atmosphere, the light, the people, the conversations. Yeah.
I do want to shout out the introduction of your character, Meg. I think is one of the ones I really love, because in a split second we understand that character.
So, no.
We understand her strength and what she's about. She's not just a pretty face barmaid thing. You can just
She
take
can
care of
handle
herself. And I
Yeah.
think that was quite nice. It was quite important. I think when we were doing the script, it was quite important for us to make that statement straight away that, you know, she might be the barmaid, but you don't mess with her.
No, she's seen it all and can handle herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's the daughter of the barkeep.
Yeah,
So
who's
she doesn't get it from
absolutely
strangers.
I absolutely love Helen in this episode. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah.
she is.
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, Helen is great fun.
And this is Mike, who plays Hestinger, which is a very interesting character, and there's more coming up in episode 3 with that character. But I think he just embodies that personality, that sort of slightly worn down, shady character. You know, I really like what he did with that.
John!
Hey, Mia.
I told you to wait outside.
Watching your back. Enough soldiers have just arrived.
How long did colour grading take? Christopher Buckingham's asking. Yeah, not very long. It was done by someone called Mara Chiorba at Cheat in Hackney, and she just did it in the evenings after paid projects, and she was super, super fast. Really good.
How does colour grading work? Do you give them like a mood board or like examples,
Yes.
or just give them the last season? Or like, how does it work?
Yeah, both basically. Yeah,
Because they'll kill us if you don't.
yeah. Overall, we went for a darker look this time,
My little brother.
which sort of suits the direction the story's going in.
Yeah, it's far moodier. As a, yeah.
Get back behind you.
Honestly, when I watched this, I literally was like, Helen, you're so good. I literally was like, just couldn't take my eyes off her. I was like, soul.
So.
I was like, someone please put her in a season where she's on every single scene.
So that's what I meant when I said I think we picked the right people for the right parts. I think all of you guys, sort of, you fit into the characters really, really well. I mean, Constanza is just scary, you know. Even when she turns up in her rain gear, then you're still scared of her.
And actually, when you see those close-ups of Ren and Hunter under the bar, we'd sort of turned the bar around 90 degrees, and it was the next day, and I don't think Connie was even there.
No, I wasn't there.
So it was actually the red costume you see through the gaps is Rose, the production designer, just wrapped in a bit of red
Sit
fabric.
down.
I remember when we filmed this, Connie, like, even though it's obviously not real, but I was just like, even watching you two over the bar, I was like, oh my God, like, what's going to happen? I was like, like the eyes back and forth. I was like, oh my goodness, like waiting for it to.
I love that little sequence between the two of you over the bar. I think it was one of the things we talked about in the audition.
Yeah.
That when, you know, you obviously a commanding officer, blah, blah, blah. But when you sit down next to this other strong woman, I think we talked about it could be nice if you had a little bit more of a, you and me, we can sort this out.
We can sort it out, yeah.
Yeah, but there is that underlying tension of, is any one of them gonna explode? What's gonna happen? I really love that sequence.
Yeah, I love this scene. I love playing up with her. And you, Tamsin. You're spilling your drink on me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh no. She's gone now.
Yeah. Well, that was interesting. That the spilling of the beer or the drink, that had to be a one take.
Yeah.
Because there was no time to kind of dry.
We can't clean that up. Nope, it's
dry
one.
it up and try again. It was a one take wonder.
There's a dough leg board.
Yep. So this is what I talked to Helen about a lot in her character, that I wanted this very, very strong woman behind the bar, but also that she could flip into this quite vulnerable character who's just lost her daughter. And that was quite important, that she was able to do that flip.
Yeah. Because she goes from this to then, she could definitely, if she wanted to, punch me in the face, but no, she didn't.
Yeah. But then she's all quite vulnerable there, and then she turns back into, there she comes.
Now you know how. No. There's nothing we can do for her. They're taking her to Grey Ridge and no one comes back from there.
We have to help her. She saved us.
What about your brother? How does it help Bane and get himself?
Again, you get to see Hunter here in a different light, which is great.
Besides, if it wasn't for her, it would be you and me on that cart.
I said I'd take you to the archivist. That's all.
Yeah, you start seeing sides of him that you kind of go, I get where he's coming from, but what's going on?
Nice.
And directed by me.
And was that final shot where Hunter comes into the foreground, Chris, was that a deliberate reference to the deleted scene from season 1? He does something similar?
Nope.
No, just a coincidence. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. No, I just thought that it would be nice to end with him instead of ending on Ren. I thought it would be quite nice to kind of see him and his reaction to what she says. So no, it wasn't a deliberate thing, but I see what you mean.
What's a deleted scene?
So there are a couple.
As we haven't seen it because it's deleted.
Yeah, well, it is on YouTube. Yeah, there are a couple of deleted scenes from season 1 that are on YouTube, and one of them it involves a similar sort of thing of Hunter, having the chance to sort of do the right thing and help someone, or essentially run away. And there's a similar kind of shot where he's in the foreground thinking about it, and another character's in the background. Yeah. Love Hunter's reaction at the end, says Janos the Ancient. Yeah. That's really nice. Huzzah, says Grosse Pointe, Michigan. I think possibly in response to Toby saying Sol can hammer those Kanath in episode 3. I'm positive. A deleted scene is a scene that was deleted. Right.
Okay, easy now.
Wisdom from Yoda.
Yeah. Wise ass.
Definitely watching this again very soon, says JHGK98. Excellent. Get that view count up. Absolutely do watch it again. Awesome VFX on that puddle, says Christopher. Yeah, that was definitely worked out very nicely, because that puddle that Talon looks into isn't actually a puddle, because we tried doing it with a real puddle, and then because the ground was muddy, the water just immediately went brown and you couldn't see any reflection. So we had to put a mirror in the ground and just sort of cover the edges with mud, and then darken it in VFX to look a bit more like a
clever.
That looks amazing. Yeah,
nice.
Definitely fooled me. Yeah.
Yeah, same. How did you not get the camera at just the angle that you were? Like, how did you?
Well, the camera was here. It was a little GoPro, just rigged under his chin.
Okay.
And we thought we were going to have to paint it out of the reflection, but actually he leant just enough to see his whole head, but the edge of the puddle just cut him off there, so you couldn't quite see it. So,
Smart actor.
yeah.
Smart actor.
Yeah, worked out perfectly. Yeah. Well, there you go. That was episode 2. Thank you everyone for watching that. What can we say about next week's episode without giving too much away?
Watch it.
I mean, I think we could say the cart will feature again.
On the move. It's on the move.
Yeah. What was that cart like to work with? To sit on, to be chained up.
All I'm gonna say that what
hours.
happens to it at the end, it just feels great.
Wow. Yeah, I'm glad because I had such numb bum. Just rotating on each cheek, like, okay, that's been half an hour. Okay, let's do half an hour here. Let's do half an hour on my thigh.
There's a lot of sitting around.
To be honest, because that was the night shoot would be for the next episode.
Oh yeah, we can say that. It's a night shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as cold as I thought. I thought it was gonna be really cold, and it wasn't. It wasn't too bad.
No, we were very lucky with the weather.
So lucky.
Okay, I am going to say that no, it was very cold for me.
Well, I was sat on the car.
Oh yeah, okay. I had wet shoes.
Oh, that's worse.
Oh.
That's so much worse.
Because I was the one walking through the field, so I
feel
had
you.
very wet shoes.
Yeah.
But it's a night shoot. There's fire, and it's super fun.
Yes, it is.
I think it's worth mentioning that cart was built for Born of Hope and was first on film in 2008, I think.
2008.
Yeah.
So it's doing well.
Is this
Had a long
still
career.
alive? Is it still around or?
Yeah, it's still around. It's being kept
It's going to be
safe.
prominent in season 3.
Safe for the fun. Well, actually, I don't know if anyone picks up on this, but it's got a dual role in season 2 even, because it's in that battlefield scene.
Oh, with the memory scene.
True.
Yeah.
Great.
It's overturned in the background, so it
Yeah, I think
survives.
it survived. I think people were quite scared when I started tilting it. And
So versatile. It's so
but it
versatile.
worked. It worked. It took direction really well.
Yeah.
Upside down direction.
I think Maylene's agreeing about the cold night shoot with you, Connie. It was
Yes,
freezing.
Maylin, we suffered together.
Yeah, wet feet is definitely worse than numb bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. Thanks to Chris Dane, thanks to Meg Birley, thanks to Constanza Ruff. And we've got a new marked one. James of the Fifth became a marked one. He joined our Patreon community. Thank you so much.
Oh, great.
Yes, do check out our Patreon page and follow his example, patreon.com/Ren the Girl with a Mark. That is how we make the show. Yes, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We will be back same bat time, same bat channel next week, 5 p.m. GMT with episode 3, followed by a very special edition of The Mouth of Truth. Again, joined, as we said earlier, by Richard Zeman, who plays Commander Othon, by Helen Fullerton, who plays Sol, and by our fight choreographer, Ronan Trainer. That is all for tonight. Have a good week, everyone. Thanks so much for supporting the show and turning out and watching, liking, subscribing, commenting. All that stuff is brilliant. Thank you and good night. Bye.
Good night.